Whether you're looking for a convenient refresher course, or a way to earn your Pragmatic certification at your own speed, or the chance to take a Pragmatic course from your specific corner of the world, then Foundations on Demand is the solution you need. Get the same great content, tools, and templates our Foundations course is famous for in a flexible and easy-to-use online learning platform. Learn the skills you need to build and market products people want to buy. And earn your Pragmatic Institute certification anywhere, anytime. No more travel worries, no more time zone issues, just truly great training. Experience the new way of training with Foundations on Demand from Pragmatic Institute. Visit pragmaticinstitute.com/foundations to learn more.
Hello, and welcome to the Pragmatic Product Chat series, where we tackle the biggest challenges facing today's product management, product marketing, and other market and data-driven professionals with some of the best minds in the industry. I am Rebecca Kalogeris, Vice President of Product Strategy at Pragmatic Institute, and your host for this episode. And today, I am joined by one of our oldies and goodies, I mean that in both ways, Mark Stiving, who is the Chief Pricing Officer for Impact Pricing. He is my favorite pricing guru. He is a pragmatic instructor and an all-around good guy. Welcome, Mark.
Face it, I'm the only pricing guru.
There are others who would deny that, but you are my first and favorite. There is no question. All right. So I think one of the things that we all know with today's economy, where certainly there's lots of people, companies that are struggling a little bit with revenue and places. And I think it's such an important time to ensure that we are not leaving revenue on the table and that we as product managers and product marketers are having the fastest and most and strongest impact on revenue that we can. And one of those levers, as I know, Mark, one of the key levers we can use is pricing. And in particular, in a time like this, is how can we raise prices and how raise prices, raise profit straight to the bottom line. It sounds lovely. Let's do it. But I think there's the fear. There's the fear of, if I do this, how much will I lose? So today, I really want you, Mark, to talk us through how we can fearlessly raise prices.
Now.
Yes, right now. Not tomorrow, but now.
Great introduction. So what Rebecca just did was she told you that I gave a presentation a week or so ago at the Professional Pricing Society, and it was called Fearlessly Raise Prices Now. And that's what we're going to talk about today.
Absolutely.
Is how do we raise prices now? Now, first off, with inflation going on, every single company should be thinking about raising prices. There's no doubt. But there's also no doubt that everybody is scared to do it because you haven't done it in 40 years. We haven't had this big inflation problem. And so how is it that we can raise prices? And one of the things I did was I just went through and I said, are there some quick hits, some things that we can do to get some of our prices up quickly that aren't super scary, that are things that we could do relatively easily? And so that's what we're going to go through today. We're going to go through several of those quick wins that we can use. And what you're not going to hear me say is let's raise prices across the board. Now, maybe that's a good thing for your company, but that's the scariest thing, right? To just raise prices across the board. So let's jump in and talk about 6 individual things we could talk about. Do you want to say what's number 1, Mark?
What's number 1, Mark?
Excellent. So the first one is simply will I products. Now we teach this concept in the price class, will I versus which one. And the real definition of a will I product is a product where people typically make decisions to buy your product without looking at competitive alternatives. And almost guaranteed, every single company, look across your portfolio, you've got some will I products in your portfolio. So these could be accessories or add-ons or options you've got to your current product line. If you were to raise the price on those will I products by 10% today, it doesn't change any demand, and you just made 10% more profit, 10% more revenue as profit.
With a will I am very aware a will I is you're either going to do it or you don't. And so pricing has less of a factor in it. There is probably a point though, when it's too much, will I or not, but there's a price implication while it is smaller. How does a company feel confident that they're not near that edge, that if they raise it one more, we're going to flip out?
I think that it never happens that I raise it one more, the market will flip out. I think what happens is if you raise it one more, you'll start to lose some customers or more customers than you're comfortable losing. And so my recommendation would be, as you change your price on your will-I, let's watch the customer reactions, right? If this happens to be a subscription, and as a subscription, by the way, anybody who's paying next month for your subscription is a will-I customer, right? Every month you pay for your subscription, it's just a will-I customer. So what we want to do is we want to start watching.
And the subscription side, it doesn't, to your point, you add 10 cents per subscriber, it doesn't necessarily hit them or trigger them. But man, that's, again, just straight profit to the bottom line.
Yep. And our third trick is going to be talking about existing customers. So let's hold off a little bit on that, if that's okay.
Skip number 2 altogether. How's that going to make number 2 feel, Mark?
I know, exactly.
It's going to make number 2 feel like number 2. That's what it's going to do.
It is. Okay, let's talk about existing customers. So that we'll make that our number 2 today.
Okay, excellent.
And so that way it fits in with will-I products. So existing customers, if you've got a subscription going on right now and you've got a bunch of people who are already subscribing, what you want to do is rank order your existing customers for who gets the most value from your product and who gets the least value from your product. And then take the 20%, 25%, I don't care what the number is, but take the 20% of the people who get the most value and raise their price. And guess what's going to happen? Nothing, except they're going to pay you more money. And then go down to the next 20% and watch what happens. And maybe you lose a customer, maybe not, and then do the next 20%. And now you might start losing a few more customers than you're really comfortable, and then stop raising prices. So the people who get the least value from your product, we never raise their price. And so what we just did was raise prices on customers who actually get a ton of value from our product. They're willing to pay us more. And the people who aren't getting a ton of value, we didn't raise their price.
So I could totally, I'm picturing this even, from your subscription programs, there's the ones that you watch all the time and there's the ones you have one show you check on every once in a while. How does that work? And how do we do that effectively when it's something where pricing is fairly public, right? Where there is a list price that I'm going to have to deal with. And then there is discrepancy among that. Do I need to package it as special features? Do I need to say it's based on usage? How would I do this?
Fabulous. I'm going to jump to number 3, and then we're going to combine 1, 2, and 3 all at the same time.
Please note that I don't know what order these are in. So this has just been fortuitous.
There really is no order.
Clearly not, or I wouldn't be asking out of order.
So number 3 is new customers. So in the world of subscriptions, what I love about raising prices on new customers is they didn't know what the old price was.
True.
And so it's like an easy thing to do. Let's go raise the price. And now what you're going to do is you're going to watch the conversion rates to make sure that you're still winning the rate that you think you should be winning. Odds are really good your competitors have raised price, or your competitors are going to follow you and raise prices. And so raising prices on new customers right now is one of the easiest things you can do. Now, the reason that fits in with the existing customers piece is, for the sake of argument, you're charging $100 a month. And we decide that we're going to raise prices on new customers by 20%. So we now charge $120 a month. That's what it says on the website, $120 a month. Now let's go to those existing customers. If we had existing customers who were paying us $100 a month, we can take the ones who get the most value and we can raise their price to $120. And the ones who are getting the least amount of value, we just leave the price at $100. We never touch it. They're not going to our website saying, hey, I wonder if they raise prices. And by the way, even if they are, they don't care.
They're not going to be like, oh no, I want to pay more. No,
exactly. So as long as we raise prices on our new customers or on our website, however we want to look at that, as long as we raise those prices first, then raising prices on existing customers becomes much easier there.
Excellent. All right. So we have will-I products. We have existing customers, starting with those who get the highest value and moving down till you start to see drop off. And then you have new customers because they don't know the difference. And what I set their upper price as, I can actually use as cover to raise the existing customers who get the most value.
Yep, absolutely.
3. What's number 4?
That's 3 of them.
Right.
Number 4, this is another concept we teach in the price class.
Excellent.
And it's price segmentation. So most companies don't do enough price segmentation.
So true.
And so my recommendation is look through the 3 techniques that we teach on how you can segment your market. Those 3 techniques, by the way, are what are the characteristics of the customer? What can I learn at the time of the transaction? And what are some behaviors they exhibit, or what are some hurdles that I can put in their way to make them jump to prove to us that they're price sensitive? And so go through all of those, do some brainstorming, figure out where the next price segment should be, and then add that as a price segmentation technique. Now, a trick I like to use is have clients list a whole bunch of customers and then rate the customer's willingness to pay on a scale of 1 to 5. And now look at all the 5s. What is it that they have in common? And when you start to do that, you could say, oh, these guys all bought in December, or these guys are all bigger customers, or these guys are all in the medical industry, or whatever it happens to be. And now we start to see this is where the segmentation can come in. So we can add a new price segmentation technique. Now, my recommendation is always to add 1 more new price segmentation technique. And the reason for that is if you add more than 1, every time you add a price segmentation technique, you complicate the internal workings of your company. So now we have to keep track of which segment are you in, and we send you a different quote, and we have to invoice you differently, and sales has to know the difference. And so every time we add 1, we get more complicated. But I can almost guarantee you that you have room to add 1 more. So go add 1 more, see how it works out, and then maybe add another one after that. But just do them 1 at a time.
Makes sense. And I love that as like when people are like, I don't know how to segment. That's how people are, right? Like it feels overwhelming. You're like, we should totally do that. That feels overwhelming. That like list some customers and do a gut check and use that to kind of affinity map and see where you see commonality is a great way to jumpstart that effort. Love number 4.
Nice. You didn't like 1 through 3?
I did 1 through 3. They're each good. 4. What's the about 5? Maybe 5's the bad one. Maybe 5's the stinker that's hiding in between. What's number 5? Ways to raise prices without fear.
Okay, so this one's interesting. It might take this one might take a tad bit longer than the other 4, but I call it de-speccing your product. So here's what's happening is right now, your customers are looking at your product and they're asking you for discounts and you're trying really hard to hold price, but you can't hold price. Here's my recommendation. Create a new version of your product by simply taking stuff away from whatever your current product has and charge a lower price. And then never discount your current product. So anybody who wants a discount, they have to buy the de-specced product.
What if the things that they don't feel willingness to pay are the things that once they start using it will actually deliver value?
2 thoughts. Number 1 is we could upsell them into that in the future.
Fair.
Right? So maybe we could upsell them. And number 2, maybe we chose the wrong things to take out of our product.
That's fair. It doesn't have to be what they asked for per se. Right?
Yeah. So let me give you an example that I used. We actually used this example in the price class for something different, but I want to use it here for just a second. And that is the difference between Del Monte green beans and Safeway or store brand green beans. So imagine you're Del Monte and you're selling green beans and people are super price sensitive and they're saying, hey, I can't afford these. I'm not going to pay for these. I want to negotiate with you for a can of green beans. And you say to yourself, you know what I could do is I could put a different label on my can of green beans and call them Safeway or call them store brand, and I could sell them at a lower price. And now people are willing to pay me my full price for my green beans and I don't have to discount them anymore. And that's really what we're talking about.
And in that case, too, you actually didn't take anything out of the green beans. I don't think Del Monte selects these particular green beans for these cans, but I have separated the discount value from the brand of which I want to keep as a premium.
Yeah. And so what they took away was the brand. That was it.
Interesting.
And by the way, I don't know that's a true story. That's just a fabulous example.
Right. If someone's from Del Monte is listening, please let us know. But yes, it does seem like a logical spot. If it didn't work out, they'd have gotten canned.
Ooh.
Bad jokes. Thank you. All right. So de-speccing, what you're going to do is if they're going to pay less, they're going to get less. And that protects the integrity of the brand and the product and the value that you've associated with it.
Yes. And so essentially we raised prices by stop giving discounts.
Yes.
That's the key point.
I'm going to have to hit that in a second too. But number 6, give me number 6.
Number 6, let's raise prices by stop giving discounts.
There you go.
It's actually 6 is a different one, but it's the same point. And that is this: change your sales commission structure.
Ooh.
So if you are charging salespeople if you're giving salespeople commission based on percent of revenue, that's actually not incentivizing them to hold prices.
Correct.
There's a fabulous story in the book Freakonomics, which is 20 years old now or something. It's pretty old book, but they talk about Chicago realtors. And they were looking at realtors who sell their own house versus realtors selling other people's houses. And when they sell their own house, the house stays on the market about 10 days longer, and they get about a 3.7% higher price.
Oh, wow.
And that's because the commission of 3% of whatever the incremental price is doesn't mean much to the realtor. But if they're keeping it all, it means a lot. And so what we need to do is change the incentive plan for our salespeople so that they're truly incentivized to say, look, I need to hold price up. I have a recommendation for how to do this relatively easily. And that is create 3 prices. Those 3 price points are your list price, your floor price, and your target price. If a salesperson can sell something at list price, give them a huge percentage. If they sell it between target and list, give them a mid-size percentage. And if they sell it below target, but above floor, give them a low percentage. And now every salesperson is incented to at least sell to target, if not try to sell to a list.
So they would get, not only is the overall revenue of the ticket higher, but their percentage rate is higher, which would magnify the difference in commission that they would do.
Absolutely right.
And it doesn't, I was thinking you're going to be like, so you should commission on margins or EBITDA. And I was like, that's a little tough, but this makes sense. It also makes it very transparent to the salespeople. Like you control this. You fight for as we always say, you fight for every percent. And this way it very much ties them to that. That's a fantastic idea. Do you have any companies that have done that?
None that I can mention, but yes, I do have companies that have done that.
Okay, that's fine. I don't know specifically, but with Acme Company, I'd be curious as to how that rollout went. How was it? How is it received by the sales team? What kind of behaviors it affected? How quickly?
Yes. So I think it's perceived well because it's understandable. That's the key. And so we end up driving the overall average selling price up, which is exactly what we want, because every new dollar is actually profit. It's not, it is revenue, but it's really profit because it didn't change our costs at all. And so the sales team liked it. The hard thing is creating the target price. Because you know what your list is. Your list is what's the most you've ever sold it for in the past. That's a great list price. And if you want to inch that up a little bit, that's great. Your floor price, you could think of that as what's the lowest I would want to accept, or maybe what's the lowest I would give my salespeople the authority to go to without me being involved with. And then the target price is the hard one. And the easiest thing to do to start with a target price is to calculate your average selling price today and say, that's my target. Or a tad bit above the average selling price and say that's my target.
If you feel like you have been seeing creep down of your actual price, then yes, you could put that floor there. That's interesting.
Yep. And then over time, you manage those 3 price points, right? What's the floor, target, and list price?
Again, it's super interesting because it is very transparent and understandable for the salespeople. And also, again, they know what they closed it at. They know they have all of the control in that spot. So it's definitely interesting.
And you can certainly pitch this as mostly upside, right? Because today salespeople discount too much, too often. We're paying them some amount of revenue on average selling prices that are lower than they should be. And so for us to pay a salesperson a higher commission rate because they're getting us higher average selling prices, which happens to be all profit to us, that's awesome. Who cares?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's all good. And again, your list price is already the one it's established. There's no, maybe they could charge above that. That's not what we're looking for. This is what it is. Protect as much as you can, and we will all benefit.
Yep. Yeah. And I have no qualms about giving salespeople a huge percent at list price.
I love that. All right. So six ways to fearlessly raise prices now. So let's go. So is will I products, focus on the ones where they're not making a you or them decision and raise prices right away. Then it's existing customers looking at raising the prices based on those who get the most value. New customers, like, just go raise that price and watch your conversion rates to make sure you haven't gone too far. Segmentation, I say it over and over because not enough people really look at segmentation and to take one segment and adjust prices there at a time. One segmentation strategy at a time. Great exercise on how you can get some early segmentations, or to your point, go to our price class. We talk about 3 different types of segmentation. There is money in those hills, and there's money that makes sense to the buyers to give, right? Like, it is really thinking about what matters to them. De-speccing the product, which means, look, if you get to a point and you have to do a discount, you're not going to discount it on the product as it is. You're going to discount on a model that's stripped down so that you don't erode your value. And your last one, which is change your sales commission. The other piece I would say with this is in 1 through 5 as well. I think there is still sometimes some of the fear that comes with raising your prices is that sales doesn't believe in the increase. I mean, while they like the idea because it would raise value, their immediate thought is nope. They don't have confidence in our reasoning or confidence to stand in front of the customer and explain why it is being delivered. And I know that's something you talk about. So how can, as we do any number of these, do we also increase sales confidence in order to hold to that higher price besides changing their commission?
Yeah, I love that question. And I actually think this has, although it's a great time, it isn't tied to inflation and raising prices. And it's something that we should always be thinking about. And that is, how do we get our salespeople to understand the value of our products? And the value of our products is always in the minds of our buyers. Always in the minds of our buyers. And I find it amazingly fascinating that salespeople, product managers, and product marketers don't understand how buyers perceive value. So I just think that is fabulous or fascinating to me. And so I think if you spent extra time studying value, studying how customers perceive value, making sure your salespeople understand that, I think that's a huge win. And I'm sorry, can I teach one more quick point, Rebecca?
Of course.
So I do that using something I call value tables. I think you and I have done a podcast on value tables in the past, but real quickly, a value table has 4 columns to it. One, I usually start with solution, and that's because people think about their products first. And so the solution is your product, or it's your favorite feature of a product. You only built that feature because it solved a problem. And so the second column is the problem. Pragmatic loves this column, right? So the problem, what's the problem?
You're big fans.
If somebody has a problem and they buy your solution, what's a quantifiable result? So the third column is the result. And so think of it as 2% more productivity, 1% less turnover, right? There's some number that you can put to the result they might expect to get. And then if you have business acumen and you're selling B2B, you can take almost any result and calculate how much more profit that makes a customer. When you can learn to do those 4 columns, you now understand the value of your product to your customers.
And that's exactly it. Teaching the sales team to understand how your buyers value, and then
Absolutely.
showing them how that ties to your product is going to give them the confidence they need.
Absolutely. Can I share something with you, Rebecca? Don't tell the listeners this, if that's okay.
Okay. Everybody shut your ears, but I don't know how we'll figure that one out, but okay.
As I've been helping companies with these value tables, the single hardest column to get right is the problem. I find it so amazing that as a pragmatic instructor, I've been teaching problem. What's the problem? What's the problem? And people just don't understand problems. It is amazing.
It's hard to get out of your brain of solution and features and what you do. It really is.
It really is.
All right. You've been here before, Mark. You know my final question.
I only have to pick 2 of the 6.
All right. I know. I was going to say you can't pick 6. So 2 things you want them to do differently tomorrow based on pick your 2 favorites. Pick your 2 favorite kids there.
I'm going to pick number 1 and number 6.
So Will I products and changing your sales commission.
I think Will I products is so darned easy and not enough people understand the concept. So
Excellent.
Just go study Will I products and you're going to find that's free money. It's easy to do. And then number 6, sales commission. I like that one because I think it has, if you've got a direct sales force, it has an incredible impact on your profitability. You didn't actually raise prices on anybody. And the only big downside is most product people don't have authority on commission plans. But if you have influence, I think that's a huge win.
Nice. See, and I thought for sure your 2 things were going to be like, implement all 6 of these items and then tell me about it. But no, you prioritized the 2 of the 6. That was well done, Mark.
That's almost like cheating if I did that, wouldn't it?
Well, it may have been why I expected it of you.
Maybe.
All right. As always, Mark, thank you so much for coming in, dropping your knowledge, great actionable advice, great ways for all of us to really have a strong impact on our organizations when we have these kind of price controls on our products and honestly in our careers. We see it all the time in our surveys. Like if you start to wield influence on this area of pricing, the impact you have on the organization is unparalleled and it makes a big difference in your career. So highly.
I want to add on to that.
Okay.
There is nobody in your company that understands the value of your products. We just talked about that. They don't understand what pricing actually means. If you, whoever you are, take the time to figure out what value is and how that impacts pricing, you will be so unique inside your company. I'd be shocked if you did not get promoted.
I would 100% agree. And we also see they get promoted and they get more money. So it's like your
More
very
money.
own pricing strategy for yourself, right? It's true. We see it in the annual survey. If you have influence, if you play in this area, and not necessarily something people are going to hand to you, but they're going to be excited about the inputs that you give in this area because you do come from market evidence and background. So that's our do good, focus on pricing.
Nice.
All right, Mark, as always, it was absolute pleasure having you on today. Thank you for joining us.
Rebecca, it is always fun to be here with you.
Excellent. All right. That does it for today's episode. Thank you everyone for listening. And don't forget to join us next week when we tackle another great topic designed to help you elevate your product, your company, and your career.